Hi, welcome back to my channel, Stay Hype, where I help you heighten your personal experience through my own experience on this earth. I'm Kristen, and let's get into today's video. We are going to talk all about shadow work. What is it? How do you do it? Where does it come from? And how do we start to integrate it? So, shadows. A lot of people have been hearing about that shadow work journal floating around. It's been super viral, but a lot of people don't really understand what shadows are. So, your shadows are the subconscious parts of you that you shove down, that you feel are unlovable, that you are insecure about, that you feel that will be judged, those parts of you that you think will be judged by others. And it's parts of a persona that you picked up from childhood because you were conditioned to believe that these parts of you were bad. Maybe your parents couldn't understand you, didn't try to understand you. Maybe you got bullied and made fun of for being, your authentic self. Maybe, you didn't feel like you would fit in unless you pretended to be someone you aren't. And so you start to create these shadows, these personas, these masks in childhood so that you can be a part of the community, because humans love to be a part of a community. But what happens is these insecurities that are formed in childhood follow us into adulthood, and they make us feel very insecure. And they make us feel very inauthentic, even if we're not aware of it. And so we start to compensate with external factors in order to gain the validation to make us feel good about these shadows that we have deep down. So many of us are unaware of these shadows, but we get triggered when someone gets close to these insecurities, even if we're not aware of having these insecurities. So it could be a really deep insecurity that we have around our body. And, you may try to wear certain things and carry yourself in a certain way that makes you feel confident. But if someone comments on your body or someone looks at you a certain way, you immediately start to go into those shadows and you start to think, is something wrong with me? Is it my body? I know that I don't love my body and it's this. Or if you grew up in poverty and you have deep insecurities around money, subconsciously you may try to make yourself feel like everything's good when it comes to money, you're fine. But then if someone points out maybe your house not being that nice, or you don't wear really expensive clothes, if someone points out something that has to do with money, that can trigger that deep shadow, and you may try to overcompensate and spend money that you don't really have, and you may not say no to certain vacations and things that you can't afford because you don't want that insecurity, or you don't want that shadow to come to light that you really don't have that much money. So these shadows came from a deep-rooted place most of the time in childhood, but not always. They can be developed in relationships, toxic relationships. These shadows can be projections from other people in your life, and a lot of times it is from our parents. We are walking around carrying their wounds that they didn't have the awareness or the ability or the courage to deal with, and so they put them on you, the little child. So these shadows have been with some of us for a very long time, and they are what holds us back from really stepping forward in life when it comes to our dreams, when it comes to love. Some of our shadows are deep-rooted beliefs that love will always abandon you, or that you're not worthy of love. And so then whenever you get into a relationship, that shadow starts to resurface and those limited beliefs start to come into play, and you start to push love away, and you start to do things that start to show that these shadows are here again, even if you're unaware of it. So you may be a serial cheater in a lot of relationships, or you may be an overgiver in a lot of relationships and not really learning how to receive. You may shut down and not speak your needs and boundaries because you have a deep shadow that tells you that your needs and your boundaries are not worthy of being, present in relationships. Your needs don't matter. And that was something that was conditioned and told to you in childhood through your parents' lack of being able to meet your needs. And so it causes a huge, just slippery slope of inauthentic behavior in us when we don't address these shadows, and it makes us feel so unconfident in ourselves. And a lot of us develop a false sense of confidence by the clothes that we wear, or like I said, the money and the materials, or the status of our job, or the people that we hang around. We cling on to whatever status or validation that those things give us, even though it's not deeply rooted in who we are. The materials, the status, the job, that's not the identity of who we are. That's just what we do and who we surround ourselves with. But who we are at our core is someone who may be really insecure about a lot of things, but we don't want to say it. We don't want to show it because it's hard. It's hard to talk about ourselves in that way. We want to always be seen in a certain light. We are very fixated and focused, and we have been conditioned to be focused on how people perceive us. And so then that becomes the most important thing instead of the most important thing being true to who we are. We're more focused on getting people to love a version of us that we think is worthy, that we have been told is good enough, instead of realizing that all parts of us are good. And so we have to start getting clear on these insecurities. We have to start getting honest about these insecurities in order to bring them to light and integrate the shadow into who we are, because it is a part of us. Whether we want to acknowledge it or not, it comes out in our behaviors. It comes out when we are triggered. And so we have to start talking about it. We have to talk about why we're so angry. We have to talk about why we feel less than. We have to get honest about the fact that we don't feel worthy of healthy love, or we don't feel worthy of love in general, so that we can get to the root of why we think this way. It's not inherently who we are. It's not who we are at our core where we don't feel worthy of love. This is something that we have picked up, an idea or an experience that we had that we internalized from childhood 9 times out of 10. So if you can get comfortable and make friends with your insecurities, then you will be able to make some headway in actually being truly confident in who you are. Because once you bring the shadows to light, there's nothing that you need to hide in the darkness anymore. And so the reason why we get triggered and we might get explosive or shut down when someone says something that makes us feel really insecure here is because we don't want them to know that this is an insecurity. We don't want them to know that we think this about ourselves. We don't want people to know that we don't feel good enough, right? Because that's weak. That is shameful. But it's not. It's real life, and it's the truth. And these feelings that we're carrying oftentimes are feelings of those before us who did not have the awareness or the ability or the courage to speak up about the shame they were feeling. So they projected it onto you, and depending on what age that this happened, you internalized it and you made it a part of your identity. And so we have to bring these shadows up to light. So for me, I had to talk about my insecurities about being a dark-skinned Black woman. I had so many insecurities about my skin color and my hair. And once I really just started to talk about it and get honest, I realized that these insecurities were an indoctrination. It was conditioning from years and years and years of generations. And you know what I'm talking about. And so I said, this is not even my thought. Actually, when I'm just getting real with myself, I love my skin. I love my hair. And I'm going to choose to just own that now, instead of having this hold me back and having this make me feel like I'm less than. These are not even my thoughts. And so what is it within you that you are still carrying that you need to unpack? What is one of your deepest insecurities that if you were on this platform right now, you would never want to make a video about it? You would never want to talk about it. That's what you need to start talking about, and not necessarily on YouTube, but you need to start talking about it, whether it's journaling or with a trusted friend that you know will not judge you, or just bringing it up within yourself. Why do I get so triggered when certain people say certain things to me? Why do I feel unworthy of love? Why do I feel like I'm not good enough? Why do I feel like my bank account number dictates my worth? Why do I think that I have to have this particular job with this job title in order to feel worthy? Because it's coming from somewhere. It's not just inherently who you are, like I said. So if we can get to the root of the shadow by bringing it to light, by being honest, then we can start to integrate it and say, it no longer controls me anymore. This is who I am. I can't change the amount of money that I had growing up. I definitely can't change my skin color. I can't change, the the trauma that I went through or anything like that. So how do I just integrate it and learn to love these parts of myself since I can't change it, instead of letting it rule me and doing things and saying things that may not be from my heart so that I can fit in? Why don't I see how I fit in when I'm just being authentically myself? Maybe I don't want to fit in with people who only love one version of me. I want to fit in with people who love all versions of me. But how will anyone love all versions of you if you are hiding parts of yourself? So just something to think about. And if you need more help, or if you'd like some guidance on this, I do offer coaching. The link is in the description, and book a call with me. I can help you identify the shadows and hold your hand while you start to bring them to light with no judgment and love, because I've had to do it and I know that it's painful. But once you bring it up to the surface, the amount of confidence that comes into your life is just immense. And you can do so many things that you didn't think that you could do once you remove these blocks. So I hope that helped. Please like, share, and subscribe, but mostly like this video because it helps me with the algorithm and getting this content out to more people. And I'll be making more videos like this on a daily basis because I want to start teaching more. So I hope this helped. Let me know what your shadows are. Let me know if you are ready to step forward, and have an amazing day. Stay hype.